The hidden mysteries of Middle-earth. There are stories that we read with our eyes, and there are stories that read us in return. Tolkien's tale is one of those. It is not merely a book to be finished, but a world to be entered. A song to be remembered as if from the beginning of time. For within these pages, beneath the laughter of hobbits and the thunder of Mordor, there moves an ancient current, the same river that flowed through Egypt's temples, through the scripts of Enoch and Hermes, through the golden fires of alchemy and the quiet prayers of monks by candlelight. Here, myth is not past, it is presence. The Shire is the soul before awakening. The ring, the secret trial of the heart. And Gandalf, that gray pilgrim, the eternal messenger who walks between worlds. What Tolkien gave us is not just fantasy, but the mirror of the soul's great work, the alchemy of courage, of loss, of the long road home. Every hill, every light, every name conceals the language of power, the hidden mysteries of Middle-earth. So come, wanderer of words and seeker of fire, walk again through the green door, and let the road lead not only through the Shire, but through yourself. For even now the music still plays, and we are all notes in the Song of Iluvatar. Tolkien's legendarium is saturated with mythic, esoteric, and archetypal material drawn from the world's ancient mysteries. While he denied overt allegory, he admitted to what he called applicability, and that's where the esoteric gold lies. Now, there are motifs in Tolkien that match alchemical symbolism. Even without direct evidence of Tolkien's practice, his work contains many motifs that align strongly with several alchemical themes. The One Ring can be read as a prima materia, or as the central thing to be purified, bonded, and transcended. The light to fragmentation, to reunification schema. Two trees, to Silmarils, to Irindil's star, to File. Well, these mirror alchemical processes of distillation, coagulation, and recombination. The color symbolism, darkness to whiteness to red fire, has parallels to alchemical nigredo, albedo, and rubedo. Even we find characters undergo transformational journeys, such as Gandalf's death and return, and this resemble death, rebirth, initiation. The motif of hidden fire, a secret flame. Gandalf calling himself a servant of the secret fire, resonates with the occult alchemist's inner flame. These symbolic affinities are consistent with alchemical structures, though they don't prove he was a practitioner. The speculative works like Alchemy and Middle-earth are largely interpretive, and they're not based on Tolkien's own archive, but on pattern recognition. Some parallels may be retrojection, finding alchemical symbols where Tolkien drew from more general mythic or Christian sources, light, fire, transformation, rather than from actual Western esoteric alchemy. In short, the alchemical reading is interpretive rather than documentary. We need to remember that by Tolkien's lifetime, the late 19th to the early mid-20th century Britain, classical alchemy, the medieval, the Renaissance Hermetic alchemy, it was mostly out of vogue in mainstream science. Occult revival, theosophy, Rosicrucianism, various esoteric societies did have presence in Britain during his life, especially in late Victorian and Edwardian periods. Tolkien may have been aware of cultural memory of it, but that's not the same as actual practice. Many intellectuals and writers had at least peripheral awareness of esoteric traditions, But Tolkien remained more grounded in philology, mythology, Christian thought, and medieval sources. Some authors Tolkien knew, such as Charles Williams, were more interested in mystical Christian themes. Williams wrote some fiction with spiritual and mystical symbolism, but not strictly alchemical texts. So alchemy was not central to mainstream intellectual life, but the symbolic tradition carried on in occult circles, which Tolkien might have been aware of indirectly. When discussing and seeing alchemy in Tolkien's work, it is important to approach it as a symbolic and archetypal framework rather than a claim about Tolkien's personal study or even the practice of alchemy. We can say that Tolkien uses alchemical-like structures, or that his mythology resonates with alchemical symbolism, particularly in its recurring cycles of dissolution, purification, and transfiguration, without suggesting that he himself was an alchemist, where the textual evidence is strongest, such as in the narrative pattern that mirrors the alchemical Nigredo, Albedo, Rubedo sequence. We can present this as a well-argued interpretive hypothesis, supported by multiple literary and mythological parallels. Yet it must always be footnoted that there is no smoking gun, no direct documentation or confession from Tolkien indicating that he personally studied alchemical manuals. Instead, his resonance with alchemical themes arises from his immersion in the same mythic and Christian symbolic heritage that alchemy itself drew upon. The transformation of darkness into light, matter into spirit, and creation into redemption. With that said, there is a thunderclap of esoteric resonance right in the opening strokes of both the prologue and chapter 1, a long-expected party, of The Lord of the Rings. Tolkien plants subtle signals of initiation, time cycles, and hidden wisdom in plain sight, almost as if to whisper, "Pay attention. The ordinary world you're about to enter is not ordinary at all." Tolkien was working on the same archetypal wavelength as the ancient Hierophants. He just cloaked it in myth and philology so subtly that only initiates could smell the incense behind the words. We have in this magnum opus of Tolkien a cosmic genesis worthy of the Enuma Elish, but sung instead of spoken. We have an angelic hierarchy straight out of First Enoch and the Sefer Yetzirah. We have an alchemical hero's journey that mirrors the Divine Comedy and Corpus Hermeticum. We have a sacred geography where Valinor resembles the Pleroma, where Middle Earth signifies the fallen plane, where Mordor is the Clipothic abyss. The whole cross-cultural current, Christian mysticism, Kabbalah, Rosicrucian veiling, Hermetic echoes. All of this will be our richest stream for interpreting and realizing the beautiful depth of Tolkien. Tolkien's world is humming with deep mythic and esoteric resonance. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We can begin the main mystical threads hiding in just the very first few pages of the prologue and the very first chapter. So our curiosity compels us to ask, what if the prologue hides the same mysteries found in alchemy, Kabbalah, Hermetic lore, and Christian symbolism? Tolkien's legendarium encodes archetypal initiatory patterns. We're not claiming Tolkien was an occultist, but we are showing how myth and symbol intersect. Let's take a look at that. The shrine as the alchemical prima materia. This book is largely concerned with hobbits. So begins The Lord of the Rings. A simple line, but like so many beginnings in the great myths of the world, simplicity is a mask. Beneath it, Tolkien has hidden an entire cosmos of mysteries. For they love peace and quiet and good-tilled earth. A well-ordered and well-farmed countryside was their favorite haunt. Well, the Shire here, esoterically, represents the prima materia, the base, unrefined matter at the beginning of the alchemical opus. Like the raw lead of the soul, it's cozy, earthy, unconscious of its divine potential. The tilled earth is literal soil, but symbolically the earth element, the Adama, from which transformation begins, thus mirroring Genesis 2 and 7. Adam from the dust. The ground is Adama. Tolkien signals that the great work will begin from humility and simplicity and the fertile ground of the mundane world. This is classic Hermetic inversion. The stone the builders rejected will become the cornerstone. So the second element in the long-expected party as the ritual of time's renewal, our text is chapter 1 in The Lord of the Rings. It was a fine morning, and the sun was shining, and the grass was very green. Bilbo was going to be 11-1. Bilbo's 111th birthday is the triple one, the symbolic unity triad, the monad, the dyad, triad, condensed into the new aeon. The birthday party functions as a festival of renewal, an echo of ancient New Year rites, the Babylonian Akitu, the Jewish Rosh Hashanah, the Celtic Samhain. The coming disappearance at his party mimics the mystery drama of death and rebirth, an initiation by vanishing like Eleusis or Osiris. Bilbo dies to the world of the Shire and is reborn as a wanderer of the inner path. For Tolkien, language was the seed, and it's from this seed which the myth grew. And in the case of Hobbit and Bilbo Baggins, he left us just enough real and playful linguistic clues to make a juicy and delicious little investigation. We look now to the etymology of Bilbo Baggins. We see rustic humor with mythic overtones. On Bilbo, Tolkien said he liked the sound Bill for rustic comical English names. Compare Bilberry and Bill and Billet. But when we look deeper into the Old English, Bill is a sword or blade. Ironic for a hero who starts unarmed and timid. The Italian Bilbo is a type of short sword made in Bilbo, Spain. Bilbo Baggins literally could mean sword in the bag, a beautiful unconscious prophecy of his secret courage and later sting. Bill also echoes bilious comic English meaning, suggesting earthy temperament, the grounded common man. Now his name Baggins, from bag, and the English suffix ins, like Higgins and Perkins. Tolkien explicitly based it on Bag End, his aunt's actual home in Worcestershire. Bag End is a cul-de-sac, the end of the bag. It's humble, closed, domestic. In the symbolic sense, Bag End means the end of the journey, the still center. Compare this with the Hermetic Ouroboros, The end returns to the beginning. Bilbo lives at the end, but his journey will circle the world and return to the same door. He contains the circle, just like the ring. So, Bilbo Baggins, the sword in the bag, or the hidden fire in the hearth, or the hero who dwells at the end. Now, the word hobbit, which Bilbo is Tolkien's accidental invention that wasn't so accidental. Tolkien claimed in a 1938 letter that the word hobbit came to me suddenly while I was marking papers, but linguistically, the word has uncanny roots and echoes that fit perfectly into the mythic soil he was tilling. There are possible real-world etymologies and resonances with this incredible word. When we go to the Old English as the root or source, we have whole bitla, Tolkien's own joke etymology, and yet the meaning means whole builder. Whole is whole, and bitla is builder. The resonance with Tolkien's usage is hobbit holes. The word fits the Shire perfectly. Tolkien later retro-etymologized it into Westron as if it were a genuine ancient form. Hobbit thus means little household spirit. The root source in Middle English folklore, hob, means a diminutive or a rustic sprite, as in a hobgoblin or a hob thrush or hob the robin. Hob was often the friendly household spirit. And the resonance with Tolkien's usage is exactly what hobbits are: humble, home-centered, earthbound folk. When we move to the Old Norse and Germanic hof, a dwelling, and bit, a small, then we have a little dweller or a small inhabitant. And this is the echo of ancient northern roots. It fits Tolkien's mythic linguistic Northness. In the Proto-Celtic hob, this is a mound. It's a small rise. It's possibly a link to a hill or a mound, a sacred dwelling of fairies. And so this is Bag End, literally is a hobbit hole in a mound. And this ties them to fairy mound dwellers, the Aeshe of Irish lore. So hobbit may sound whimsical, but beneath it are layers of earth spirit, hole dweller, little domestic genius loci. See, this encodes the archetype of the microcosmic being, the humble soul who becomes the vessel for the great work. That's a hidden etymological gold nugget. Even their very name, hobbit, whispers of the hole, the home, the hearth, the little spirit of the earth who will hold a world's fate in his hands. Quite remarkable, isn't it? Now the ring, this third point. This is introduced as the hidden philosopher's stone. Our text is chapter 1, where Bilbo is talking to Gandalf. I suppose you will all think me simply mad for wanting to go off again after all these years. I want to see mountains again, Gandalf. Mountains. Well, Bilbo's restlessness here, after possessing the ring, which mirrors the alchemy of the stone, it awakens inquietude. This is the divine discontent that drives transformation. The ring's invisibility is a veiled symbol of hidden power, the unseen, the inner reality behind appearances. Gandalf's quiet vigilance recalls the hermetic hierophant watching over the uninitiated until the time of revelation is right. So our fourth item is Gandalf's in the role as Hermes the psychopomp. We go to the text in chapter 1, the prologue, and chapter 1, Gandalf. was responsible for so many quiet lads and lasses going off into the blue for mad adventures. Now, this gives us Gandalf's role as the wanderer and the inspirer of adventures, which matches Hermes Trismegistus, Thoth, and Odin. These are divine guides who initiate mortals into hidden knowledge. Gandalf's fireworks. Well, this gives us the divine illumination descending into the material realm, the spark awakening souls from slumber. His very color, gray. Well, that aligns with the mercurial middle phase of alchemy. It's neither black, negredo, nor is it white, albedo, but the intermediary substance connecting above and below. Gandalf in the Old Norse source, the name Gandalf actually appears in a genuine medieval text, the Völuspá, one of the Poetic Edda's poems. In the long list of dwarven names, there's one called Gandalfur, Old Norse. So Tolkien didn't invent the name, he resurrected it from Norse mythic soil. In Old Norse, Gander is a wand, a staff, but it also means a magic charm or even wolf spirit. Alfur is elf, so Gandalfur literally means the staff elf, the wand elf, or the magical being with a staff. That's not just a linguistic coincidence. It's Tolkien's archetypal definition of a wizard. He is the staffed elf. He is a being of light and wisdom in a mortal form, bridging the world of the Valar and the children of Ilúvatar. Now, we can find philological layers of Gander. It's a loaded word. It's one of those Norse words that Tolkien adored because it's polysemous. In other words, it hides a mystery inside itself. So this sense of Gander, like a magic staff, a wand, or a magical power, spell, a wolf, a monster, a spirit, the meaning is the wizard's tool of power, the force of enchantment or command, as in Gand, an evil spirit or werewolf. Compare Gandvik. Well, we have a mythic echo of the literal staff Gandalf wields. He's spoken words that bind, bless, or banish. And this reflects Gandalf's dangerous storm-bringing side, his connection to Odin, right? The shamanic force, the root of Gondredir, the magical ride of witches, and this is found in the Norse sagas. There's echoes Gandalf's journeys and transformations from Grey Wanderer to White Rider. So Gandalf is a perfect condensation of staff, spell, spirit, and power, all in one word. And the Odin connection. Tolkien scholars have long recognized that Gandalf is partly modeled on Odin the Wanderer, specifically Odin's guise as Gangleri, the Wanderer, or Grimnir, the Hooded One. Odin carries a staff, a Gondr. He wears a wide-brimmed hat. He has a long gray beard and cloak, and he wanders the world in disguise seeking wisdom. Even the name structure, Gandalf, resonates with Odin's style of compound names: Staff Elf, Wise Wanderer, Grimnir, the Man of Masks. So Gandalf is philologically Norse and spiritually Hermetic, a bridge between the worlds, the bearer of the secret fire. In Tolkien's mythology, the Silmarillion, the Unfinished Tales, we learn Gandalf's true name is Olorin in Valinor. That name means dream or vision in Kenya. So Gandalf's two names actually frame his being. Olorin, the inner light, the visionary spirit, the soul of the West, and Gandalf, the outer form, the staffed wanderer of Middle-earth. When we put these together, the vision becomes the wanderer. The spirit of wisdom becomes the staffed pilgrim. That's pure hermetic duality. That is spirit descending into form. And there is yet hidden esoteric resonance, because symbolically, Gandalf, the staffed spirit, the mediator of heaven and earth, he is the axis mundi in person. The axis mundi being the vertical line connecting divine fire above to mortal clay below. Gandalf is the embodied wand of divine wisdom, the staff through which the secret fire walks the earth. Well, the fifth element is Bilbo's vanishing act as the mystical disappearance. Our text says, he put the ring on his finger and vanished. There was a blinding flash of light, and he was gone. So esoterically, this is the ritual disappearance of the initiate, the symbolic death to the profane world. And we can compare Hermes' occultation, Christ's ascension. We can compare Elijah's whirlwind, or the Hermetic adept's withdrawal into the invisible. Bilbo's flash of light is the spark of the transmuted soul. And this is foreshadowing his later peaceful departure over the sea. Notice Gandalf's immediate awareness here, like a master who recognizes the right. Oh, so you mean to go on with your plan after all? Now, of course, Bilbo got the ring from Gollum. A bonus etymological review of Gollum is utterly fascinating here. The name Gollum, the horrible swallowing noise. This is one of those cases where Tolkien's philological genius and mythic intuition collapse together perfectly. On the surface, Gollum seems like a nonsense name, but it's actually a linguistic and psychological cipher that fits his entire symbolic role. Tolkien himself said in the letters of J.R.R. Tolkien, especially letter number 214, that the name Gollum was derived from the throaty gurgling noise the creature makes in his throat. The name Gollum was given to him because of the horrible swallowing noise he makes in his throat, Tolkien said. That's it in the literal surface sense. It's a simple physical sound. But in mythic symbolic terms, it's perfect. The name arises from the throat, the voice center, where language and appetite meet. In the Kabbalistic tree, the throat corresponds to Da'at, the hidden knowledge sephira, the place where divine wisdom descends into speech and distortion. Gollum's Gollum noise thus literally marks the fall of logos into appetite, the degradation of sacred voice into compulsive mothering. So etymologically, Gollum is an echo of lost articulation, a word that can't quite form itself, like the ruined remains of language itself. That's just chef's kiss Tolkien level brilliance there. And we have phonetic and mythic resonances. Even though Tolkien based it on sound, the name happens to resonate eerily with several ancient linguistic and mythic roots. The root of Goll, G-O-L-L, from the Old Norse and the Old English, it's related to gold, yellow, and glow. Ironically, this connects him to the ring, the golden object of obsession. Gollum literally glows with gold's phonetic ghost. And then we have the root of Goll, gullet, Gollum, the Germanic and English. It means throat, swallowing, or gluttony. And this matches his name derivation. He is defined by hunger and swallowing. And then in the Hebrew, we have Goal, Kol, voice, sound, utterance. In Hebrew, kol is the voice. Compare and the voice of the Lord, kol, Yahweh, walked in the garden. Well, Gollum's name then literally echoes voice, but twisted. It's a striking coincidence. Gollum and Golem from Hebrew, which means formless, unfinished creature, the Gollum. Gollum and Golem are nearly twins phonetically. And the Golem of Jewish mysticism is an artificial being, animated but soulless, the shadow of humanity. Gollum likewise is animated by obsession, bereft of spirit. Now, to be sure, Tolkien never said he intended a Hebrew echo, but the resonance is haunting. The Golem was formed from clay and divine word, yet remained subhuman. Gollum was formed from hobbit and the ring, yet became inhuman. The phonetic parallel practically screams mythic archetype here. Phonetically, Gollum rolls back and forth in the mouth. Gollum, an oscillation, a self-reflection. The ga opens, a going forth. The lum closes, a swallowing, a return. It's literally the sound of self-consumption. That's what the ring does. The Ouroboros devourer turning inward until only echo remains. So even linguistically, the name is a ring. It's a circle. It begins and ends on the same sound. Goon, enclosing itself. So Tolkien's mythic genius, from Hobbit to Gollum, beautifully mirrors the microcosm and macrocosm. Even in naming, we have the Hobbit, which is the hole dweller or the earth spirit. He's grounded, he's wholesome, he's incarnate. And we have Gollum, throat sound, devourer, an echo, disembodied. It's a voice without a body. They're mirror images. The Hobbit is rooted in earth, home, and word. Gollum is rootless, homeless, and wordless. Bilbo is the hearth fire. Gollum is the abyss below the hearth, the echo of the consumed voice. Even the name Gollum is a myth in miniature. He's born of the throat, that border between speech and hunger. It's the sound of language devoured by appetite, the fallen echo of the logos. In Hebrew, kol means voice. Gollum means formless creature. Gollum is both, a voice without a soul, an echo without a home. He is what happens when the ring, the Ouroboros of power, devours the speaker from within. Well, the sixth item we have tonight is a hidden theme of cycles, aeons, ages, and renewals. And the text is in the prologue. We read, "It was the beginning of the end of the quiet days of the Shire." So Tolkien always works on a cosmic cycle model. You know, we have the first age leading to the second, then the third, then the fourth. And the transition from third to fourth age mirrors the mythic turning of the Aeon, the Kali Yuga ending, or the Gnostic World Age shift. The opening chapters foreshadow that the peaceful garden will give way to apocalyptic renewal. The same pattern in Hesiod's Ages of Man, or the Book of Enoch's visions of successive world epochs. The hidden esoteric alert in the prologue is very interesting. So if we were to translate Tolkien's first paragraph symbolically, he says this: "This book is largely concerned with hobbits, and from its pages a reader may discover much of their character and a little of their history." Well, here he's practically winking at the reader. This is a story about small things that contain great mysteries. That's the Hermetic axiom of the Emerald Tablet. That which is below is like that which is above. The hobbit, the microcosm, he mirrors the divine order, the macrocosm. The very structure of Tolkien's opening, the mundane surface hiding vast cosmic depth, this is a Hermetic initiatory act. So to sum it all up, what screams ancient mystery in the opening of The Lord of the Rings? You have Till Earth and the Shire. This is the prima materia, the Adama, and this is the alchemical and Hebrew tradition. We have Bilbo's 111th birthday. This is the Aeonic renewal and the unity triad, and this is the Pythagorean and the Kabbalistic tradition. Gandalf's fireworks is about the descent of divine illumination, and this is the Hermetic and the Mithraic tradition. On the ring's invisibility, we have a hidden stone or an occult gnosis, a hidden knowledge. The tradition is Hermetic and Gnostic. On Bilbo's disappearance, this is the death, rebirth, initiation, and the tradition is the mystery cults and the Hermetic ascent. The quiet day's ending is the turning of the world age, and this has the tradition from Hesiod, Enoch, and Zoroaster. And the hobbits is small but central. This again is the microcosm equals the macrocosm, and the tradition is the Hermes Trismegistus Emerald Tablet. So, as you return once again to the pages of The Lord of the Rings, may you read not only with the eyes of the mind, but with the eyes of the soul. For beneath every green hill and golden hall lies the glimmer of the ancient work, the transmutation of shadow into light, of loss into wisdom, of the mortal into the eternal. The Shire is not far away. It waits within us, humble and hallowed. The ring's burden is our own striving, the journey our own awakening. May Gandalf's fire illumine your path. May the courage of the halfling steady your heart, and may the light of Eärendil shine upon your darkest hour. For even in the smallest leaf and the quietest word, the secret fire still burns, calling each of us to become co-creators in the great music.